Have you ever had a guy chase you hard, texting constantly, making you feel desired, like you're the only woman that matters, and then out of nowhere, he just goes quiet, no explanation, no goodbye, just vanishes into thin air. You're left staring at your screen, going over everything, thinking, did I mess up? Was he ever genuine? Or even worse, was any of it real? Let me stop you right now. This isn't because you're too much, too needy, or not enough. His silence isn't rejection, it's reflection. In this video, I'm going to reveal what's really happening in a man's head when he wants you badly but suddenly goes quiet. And yeah, the truth will probably shock you, because most women have been told to just be patient, act chill, or give him room. But the space you give to a man without emotional maturity is often the exact space he disappears into, filled with confusion, fear, or emotional games. Silence can be used as a weapon, but it can also be a clue that he's longing for something, but it might not actually be you. This is the part no one prepares you for. This is the part that makes strong, amazing women question their worth. So stick with me, because by the time we're done, you won't just understand his silence, you'll know exactly how to respond to it, while standing tall in your power. Let's get into this. Here's something a lot of women don't see. A man can deeply want you and still not take any steps to actually have you. Yes, he can be stuck thinking about you endlessly, wanting your body, your vibe, your attention, and still choose to stay silent. Why? Because desire is not the same thing as commitment, and it's definitely not the same as courage. See, when a man desires you, it gives him a strong but short-lived emotional rush. Think of it like a shot of dopamine. He wants to see you, talk to you, imagine you, but that craving is often more about the feelings he wants to experience, not about building anything real together. It's about the feeling of wanting, not the foundation of a relationship. This is where so many women get hurt, because the connection feels so real to you, the spark is intense, the chemistry is obvious, and you believe his craving must mean he's serious. But here's the hard truth. Craving with no action is just emotional immaturity hiding behind charm. He might crave your presence because it makes him feel alive. He might crave your attention because it boosts his ego. He might crave your energy because it distracts him from his own emptiness. But none of that means he's actually ready for something real. Craving is about him. Action is about you. A man who's emotionally ready won't just crave you. He'll be there for you. He'll make room in his life for you. He'll follow up his words with real effort. The problem is, many of us mistake craving for love. We think intensity equals depth. And when he suddenly pulls away, we blame ourselves, when really he was never grounded to begin with. So when a man comes in hot, showering you with attention, promising big things, don't just get lost in the thrill. Watch what he does when it's time to be real. Because when a man goes silent after all that passion, it's not a puzzle. It's a message. And if you listen carefully, it says everything you need to know about his ability to connect on an emotional level. Let that land. When a man falls silent, the first thing most women do is panic. You start doubting everything. Is he getting bored? Did I do something to scare him away? Should I reach out? But let's pause here, because the silence you're hearing might not mean what you think it means. It's usually not about you. In fact, most of the time it has nothing to do with you at all. Men handle feelings differently when they experience something new, especially something that opens them up emotionally. They often pull back, not because they don't care, but because they don't know how to care in a steady, open way. Silence, for many men, is their automatic response when they feel overwhelmed, unsure, or too exposed. But here's the twist. Silence doesn't always mean they're confused. Sometimes it's on purpose, sometimes it's planned, and sometimes it's just how they protect themselves. Let me explain. When a man begins to catch feelings, he has two choices: lean into it and grow, or pull away and regain control if he's not emotionally mature. Those feelings make him feel weak or unsafe, so instead of being honest and saying something like, I need some time, or I'm scared, or even I'm not ready, he just goes quiet. He waits to see if you'll come after him. He watches to see if you'll wait, or if you'll fall into doubt and anxiety. His silence becomes a kind of test, maybe not a conscious one, but it's still real, and wants to know if you'll stay even when he's giving you nothing. It's his way of keeping the upper hand while avoiding closeness. Now here's the truth more women need to hear. A man who truly values you won't stay quiet. A man who's serious about you won't risk losing you just to disappear. Because men understand exactly what silence means. And when he chooses it, he's sending you a message. That message might be, I like the comfort of your presence, but not the commitment. Or it could be, I'm scared of how I feel, so I'm going to disappear until it fades. Or maybe even, I'm not as into this as I pretended to be. Whatever the reason, one thing is sure. A man's silence says more than his words ever will. It shows you if he's available. It shows how he handles pressure, and it shows how he reacts when real emotions are involved. So next time he goes silent, don't chase after noise. Listen to what his silence is really telling you, because inside that quiet, you'll find your answers if you're brave enough to hear them. Let's be real. When a man says he needs space, it sounds fair. You want to be respectful, give him room, and not come across as needy. But here's a truth most don't talk about. Sometimes space isn't about finding clarity, it's about avoiding closeness. There's a major difference between someone who takes space to think and someone who uses silence to dodge responsibility. And if you don't see the difference, you'll keep waiting around for someone who never plans to come back. So let's be clear. Here are signs. His silence isn't healing, it's emotional. Escape first, check the pattern. Did he go silent, right? After a deep moment, after something real was shared, after you started needing consistency, if his silence only comes up when things get deeper, he's not seeking peace, he's dodging real connection. Second, when he needs space, does he say anything? A man who truly cares won't vanish with no word. He'll tell you, I need a little time to myself, or I've got stuff on my plate. But if he just drops off the map and leaves you in confusion, that's not a boundary, that's emotional hiding. Third, notice how he comes back when he returns. Does he mention the silence? Explain it. Own it. Or does he just act like nothing ever happened, expecting to have access to you again like before? Because avoiding someone isn't just about leaving, it's also about ignoring the effects of that absence. Another clue is he shuts down when you express how you feel, you bring up emotions, and he changes the subject. You share a need and he says you're being dramatic. You ask for understanding and suddenly he's too busy or too tired. That's not protecting peace, that's protecting distance. Because closeness feels heavy to him and heavy makes him run. And one of the biggest signs is how you feel around him. One day he's affectionate, the next he's distant. You keep trying to be cool, walking on eggshells, scared to say the wrong thing or ask too much. You're not in love. You're managing someone's emotional fear, and that's not what love should be. It's emotional survival mode, and survival mode is where emotionally unavailable people want to keep you, because when you're off balance, you don't question their lack of consistency. Remember this, true love doesn't ask you to chase, guess, or shrink a man. Who truly wants you respects your feelings and doesn't disappear when things get real. He'll talk, he'll be there. He won't make you feel like your feelings are too much. So next time a man says he needs room, don't just hear the words. Watch what he does with that space. And most importantly, ask yourself, does his silence make me feel calm or uneasy? Because if it's making you feel anxious, it's not really space, it's avoidance dressed up as self-care. You deserve a love that doesn't vanish when emotions get deep. A love that doesn't run from being open. A love that feels secure, not silent. Let that be your compass moving forward. There comes a point where his actions stop making sense. He starts pulling away, saying less, acting cold, and suddenly you're left wondering, is this some kind of test, or is he just not into me? That thought can drive you insane, because when a man becomes distant, your mind tries to figure it out. You think maybe he's checking to see if you'll come after him. Maybe he wants proof you're really into him. Maybe he's seeing how much space you'll allow. And yes, some guys do test women, but let's be real. When a man really cares, He doesn't need to test you. He already sees your value because he's paying attention. He already knows your intentions because he talks to you. And he doesn't play games with someone he's scared to lose. So let's break this down. If a man goes quiet or pulls back just to see how you'll react, that's not a test. That's manipulation. That's control, not connection. And when someone uses silence or distance to get an emotional reaction out of you, they're not trying to build something real. They're trying to manage you emotionally. Think about how that makes you feel. Nervous, unsure, like you have to earn your place. And that's the whole point. Because when you're confused, when you're unsettled, you'll start trying harder to prove you're enough. You'll start trying harder, reaching out more, lowering your standards just to get back to how things used to feel. But here's the reality. Someone who is truly emotionally involved doesn't want you anxious. They want you secure. They want you to feel safe with them. They want you to trust the steadiness of their presence. When a man isn't really involved, he often hides behind uncertainty. He keeps the connection going just enough so you don't fully leave, but not enough to make you feel completely chosen. He gives compliments but not clarity, affection but no commitment, promises but no real plans. And here's the hardest truth to accept. Sometimes a man's silence or distance isn't a challenge. It's not a plan. It's simply disinterest disguised as something more complicated, because no man wants to say out loud, "I like the attention, but I don't actually want to commit to you." That may sound selfish, but his actions say exactly that, and you can sense it. Because even when he returns something, always feels missing. The steadiness, the safety, the energy of someone who's really present, emotionally, mentally, and physically. So next time you ask yourself, is he testing me? Switch the question, ask, is this making me feel secure, or is it draining me emotionally? Because if it feels like a test, it's already becoming too confusing, and real love doesn't test how far you'll bend. You're not here to pass someone's challenge. You're not meant to earn love through uncertainty. You're here to receive love that's honest, steady, and built on mutual respect. Don't spend your energy trying to figure out silence or explain inconsistency. If he truly cares, you'll feel it, not just in his words, but in his action. If he's not showing up consistently, then that's your answer. Don't hang around waiting to be picked. Choose yourself instead. When a man starts pulling away, it can feel like emotional whiplash. One day he's very present, texting, calling, making you feel important, and the next he's distant, quiet, and suddenly unavailable. And in that space of silence, your mind begins spinning. What did I do wrong? Is he no longer interested? Should I reach out or stay quiet? This is when most women lose their balance. They start chasing clarity instead of guarding their peace. But is he really testing you, or is he just not that invested? Here's what you need to hear. A man withdrawing is not a signal for you to abandon yourself. It's a moment for you to come back to who you are. Emotional balance means staying centered, no matter what someone else does. It's knowing that his behavior doesn't decide your worth, and it doesn't control your emotions. So how do you stay centered when your emotions are pulling you in all directions? First, pause before reacting when your feelings rise. Your first reaction might be to fix, explain, or reconnect, but real balance starts with stillness before you send that message. Reread that last text, or go over every interaction. Take a breath. Come back to yourself. Ask, is this coming from self-trust or from fear of being left? Second, remind yourself of the facts, not your fears. Fear says, he's pulling back, and you don't know why, but it's not about your value. Don't let the silence become a story about blame. Silence is information, not punishment. Third, stay in your own routine. One of the fastest ways to lose yourself emotionally is to make someone else's behavior the focus of your life. Return to your habits. Move your body. Be around people who really see you. Journal, breathe. Your life doesn't pause just because he's unsure. Fourth, avoid the urge to do too much when someone pulls away. It's easy to try harder, but chasing connection while someone is emotionally pulling back will only wear you out and lower your self-worth. Let him step back and watch what you do with that space. Use it to reconnect with your strength, not to prove that you're worthy. Fifth, speak to yourself with kindness. When he pulls away, it's easy to fall into harsh self-talk. But staying balanced needs compassion. Say to yourself what you'd say to someone you care about deeply. You didn't do anything wrong by loving. You weren't wrong for being genuine. And you don't have to make yourself smaller just because someone else won't meet you where you are. The truth is, the way someone handles distance shows you their emotional ability, and how you handle it shows your emotional strength. You don't need to chase anyone to be valued. You don't need to lose your sense of self to feel loved. And someone else's silence is not proof that you're not good enough. So when he starts fading, don't freak out. Stay steady, keep your balance, and remember, anyone who makes you feel uncertain is not aligned with the version of you that's learning to feel safe inside herself. The more secure you feel in your own energy, the less power someone else's inconsistency has over your peace. That's where your strength lives. That's where your clarity begins. That's where love, rooted in truth, starts. Not with someone else, but within you. When a man goes quiet or begins stepping back, your instinct might be to react. You may want to confront him, get answers, or even try to guilt him into showing up again. But here's the truth. Women who know their worth don't react. They respond with calm purpose and confidence. How you respond during uncertain moments can either guard your peace or hurt your power. The way you speak in those emotional shifts sets the tone for how others treat you in the future. So let's look at the strongest approach you can take. High-value communication. It's not about proving you're worthy. It's about honoring that you already are. And it starts with knowing that silence doesn't mean panic. It calls for presence. This is what a strong response looks like when a man begins pulling away. First, you don't instantly chase him. You don't double text. You don't ask, did I do something wrong? You don't fill the space with anxious energy. Why? Because if someone isn't sure about you, it's not your job to convince them. You give them space and watch how they use it. Second, you express yourself without explaining. You decide to speak up. Your message is calm, clear, and steady. You don't beg for answers or seek approval. Instead, you lead with self-respect. Say something like, hey, I've noticed some distance lately. I appreciate honesty and clear communication, so just checking in if you need some space, that's okay. Just let me know where you stand. That's simple, direct and respectful. You're showing both emotional awareness and self-respect in one message. This type of communication sets you apart because most people either chase or shut down. Third, you don't wait by the phone. You send your message and then keep living. You don't stare at your screen waiting for a reply. You don't pause your plans or hold back your happiness. Strong women know their time matters, and anyone who causes confusion doesn't get unlimited access to them. Fourth, you respect the reply or the silence. If he responds with honesty and accountability, that's a good sign. It allows for real conversation. But if he avoids, gives vague answers, or says nothing at all, that is also a response. And a woman who values herself doesn't keep giving her time to someone who isn't emotionally ready. Fifth, you reflect without overthinking. You don't need to become a detective. You don't need to come up with a dozen reasons why he pulled away. Ask yourself one thing. Does this match the kind of relationship I want to build? And if the answer is no, then you shift, not to punish him, but to protect your peace. That's what high-value communication means. Not forcing closeness, not acting for approval, but showing your standards with clarity and calm confidence. And here's the magic. When you speak this way, you stop drawing in emotionally unavailable men because they can't handle that level of clarity. But the right ones do. They will rise up to meet you. They will value your honesty. They won't run away from truth. They will be drawn to it. So when a man disappears or stays quiet, remember, you don't beg, you don't break, you create boundaries through strong communication, because true love doesn't grow in confusion. It grows in honesty and understanding. Let's bring everything together. After all the silence, the mixed signals, the constant wondering, there's one truth you must really believe. You deserve real clarity. Maybe not someday, not after he figures things out. You deserve it now, because your heart is not built to live in constant uncertainty. It's easy to think a man's silence means something is wrong with you. You start wondering if you were too much, too emotional, too open, too giving. But let's be very clear. Your emotions are not the problem. his lack of emotional depth is, you deserve someone who doesn't pull back when things get serious. Someone who doesn't hide the moment you express a need. Someone who speaks even when it's difficult because they care about how their silence might make you feel. That level of emotional maturity is not asking for too much. It's the bare minimum of real connection. But here's what happens when you're used to accepting less. You mistake emotional neglect for space. You mistake unpredictability for passion. You mistake confusion for love. And, that stops now. Because when a man disappears without warning, when he keeps you unsure, when he makes you doubt your own feelings, that's not love. That's instability pretending to be connection. A woman who knows her worth doesn't stay quiet hoping he'll change. She sees the lack of clarity as a warning sign, not a riddle to solve. It's time to stop idealizing the man who keeps you wondering, the one who's there when it suits him and gone when it doesn't, the one who says, "I miss you," but never shows it with action, the one who wants closeness but not the responsibility that comes with it. You weren't made to be someone's emotional backup. You're not meant to be an option while they figure themselves out. You're meant to be met, fully chosen, without confusion, without doubt, without silence. This is what standing in clarity looks like. You don't wait to be selected. You choose yourself. You don't become smaller to be liked. You stay full and let the right people meet you there. You don't beg for honest talk. You live it. And if someone can't rise to that level, you don't argue. You walk away. And yes, leaving someone who once made you feel butterflies can be painful, but staying in a situation that slowly breaks down your sense of self is worse. You deserve love that doesn't leave you wondering, the kind of presence that feels steady, not like a game, the kind of partnership that feels peaceful, not like an emotional storm. So if he's quiet, unsure, or hot and cold, let him sort himself out alone. You are done waiting. The only energy you allow now is the kind that is steady, open, and true, because that's what you bring, and you will no longer accept anything less. Say it with me. I let go of confusion. I let go of chasing. I let go of trying to prove myself. I choose clarity. I choose truth. I choose me. And that's not just a line.